Hello and welcome. You're tuned into another episode of Unraveling the Knots, the podcast for real, unfiltered conversations about the world of Afro-textured hair care. And it's truly rich. That being said, we're also wellness-centric, and we also discuss many things in between. I'm your host, Ganiat Salami, and if this is your first time here, welcome. And thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and share our podcast. Let your people tap into the vibes here. And to my returning OGs, you guys are the real ones. You know how I cherish you. Thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. I hope that listening to this podcast has influenced how you take care of your hair, because that's the goal. Guys, today's topic is plenary. See, I know I always say I'm excited about whatever we're talking about on this podcast, but today's episode is honestly one I am super excited for, because I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a foodie. I love food. Guys, we are talking about diet, so yes, what's on your plate? Because what you eat truly shows up on your strands. And today, I'm not doing this alone. I have a guest. With me is a woman who truly wears many hats. She is first-class brain food scientist, brand and communication strategist, published author, and founder of Natural Hair Redefined, a fast-growing community helping women with kinky hair thrive. Welcome my awesome guest, Blessing Osunniyi, also known as Ibukuntolewa. It's such a pleasure to have you here, Blessing.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Ganiyat. It's actually truly a pleasure to be here. I really admire the incredible work you're doing in the hair care space, creating awareness, empowering women, and also building a community around natural hair. It's really inspiring to see leaders like you making real impacts. And I'm excited to be part of the conversation today.
Oh my goodness, you're just making me blush. I'm so happy to have you here too. And before we dive in, please, Ibuku, introduce your lovely self to our listeners.
All right. My name is Blessing, like you mentioned earlier, which translates to Ibukunoluwa in Yoruba language. So that's where the Ibukuntolewa came in. I would like to call myself a natural hair redefiner. Of course, I'm an author, and I'm also the founder of the Natural Hair Initiative, focused on helping women build healthy, sustainable relationships with their hair. I am very passionate about supporting women who want their hair to thrive and also flourish. So through my books and also conversations that I have with people and my community, of course, I focus on simplifying hair care, of course, natural hair care in this sense, breaking down misinformation, years of misinformation, and also helping women understand their hair as a system that responds to consistency and not just perfection. Because I realize that a lot of people think that they need to be perfect when it comes to their hair care, but then it's not necessary. Our hair is more of a system. Yeah, so at the core of everything that I do is one thing that I believe. I believe that our natural hair is not a problem to be solved. It is something to be understood, respected, and also cared for intentionally. Thank you once again, Ganiyat.
Oh my goodness, you threw in so many important gems that highlight the wonderful work you're doing. One of the things that first came to me was you saying simplifying hair care, right? Yeah. And I feel like that is such a massive need. When people think about hair care, what comes to mind is just burden, complexity, too much. So I love the fact that you're focused on that. And you highlighted the keyword when it comes to hair care: consistency. Like, I'm loving this conversation. So let's get into it. You know, just sitting down with a fellow founder of a hair care initiative, I'm super excited, as you can hear my voice now. So the first things first, what has your hair journey been like, Blessing?
Honestly, my hair journey has been one of identity, patience, and also deep research. So I'd like to tell a story. I did not always know how to care for my hair properly. As a young girl, I actually had long hair, but the experience around carrying it was slightly painful. My mom would usually take me to a regular salon, and I remember crying almost every time because the woman who owned the salon would pull my hair in different directions. So I always dreaded going there. And very early on, hair care became associated with discomfort rather than care, right? There was a defining moment when my parents stepped out one day and they asked me to braid my hair before they returned. But because of how much I dreaded that salon, I didn't go. At the time, it was mandatory to have my hair braided for school. So when my mom got back, the only solution was to cut my hair. That experience was painful. It was painful because everyone was shocked. And at the same time, everyone was angry on my behalf. Like, why would you cut this lady's hair? But then fast forward to when I was older and I decided to start growing my hair again, I found it very difficult. So as a girl who once had long hair, I became someone whose hair was simply just there, not thriving, not even understood by me.
If you don't mind me asking, how long was your hair when your parents decided that you had to cut it because you didn't get it done?
I can't say in particular, but I remember some of my pictures. My hair you could easily braid my hair into cornrows that was long as at 3 months old, as at when I was 3 months old. So you can imagine the volume, not just length of the hair, for me to be able to achieve that within 3 months as a young girl. So it was really long and also really full. Density was really quite much.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you were talking more about your hair journey. You decided to start growing your hair, but it was hard. And then what happened?
Yeah, so around that time in particular, many of my peers and also people in my environment were already relaxing their hair to escape what they called the stress of natural hair, right?
Yeah.
So relaxed hair was already being presented as the easier, more acceptable option. But deep down, I knew my result was not a failure of my hair. It was more like a failure of knowledge. I knew there was a knowledge gap. There has to be something that I did not know that people who had long and also full hair knew. So that realization actually changed everything for me. So I began to unlearn a lot of things. I began to unlearn a lot of misinformation and then relearn my hair from the scratch. What works, what does not work, like how my hair responds to my diet, my stress levels, even the weather and the products that I use. Before then, I was using a lot of products without even realizing which one works, what's better, right? So I had to learn the difference between, for example, shedding and breakage, hydration and moisturization, protein and moisture balance, and so many other fundamentals that are rarely explained properly by people. So that was when it clicked for me, like, my hair is not just hair, it's a system. And like any system, it responds to consistency, not just occasional efforts. So over time, my journey stopped being about achieving a certain look, and then it became about building a healthy relationship with my hair. And that changed everything for me because it was what eventually led me to write, teach, and also create around natural hair, especially for women who do not have many examples around them or who are really busy or high achieving and also tired of feeling like their hair is another problem they have to solve. Right. Yeah. So if I were to summarize my journey in one sentence, I would say that my hair has taught me to learn patiently, to listen closely, honor process, practice consistency, and redefine what beauty looks like on my own terms.
Ibukun, your journey is so profound. And I just say, I really admire your willingness to take a step back and, as you said, do beauty the way, like in a way that works for you. That is amazing. Yeah. Now let's focus on why we're here. You've done a lot of work around food, wellness, and of course, natural hair. So tell us, how much does what we eat really impact our hair?
I like this question. So what we eat impacts our hair a lot more than most people realize. And this is where I always like to bring some clarity because of my core background in food science, right? Hair care is not only topical. What we apply externally matters, yes. But hair is also a reflection of what is happening internally. So our hair is always a reflection of what's going on in our inside. Hair is one of the first places that the body deprioritizes when nutrients are limited because it's not really essential for our survival. So when the body is under stress, poorly nourished or inflamed, for example, the hair often shows it through dryness, thinning, breakage, or even slow growth, right? So what we eat affects the strength of our hair, moisture retention, the shedding patterns, and even how our scalp behaves. Proteins support the structure of our hair. That's like common knowledge. Other nutrients like iron and zinc support our growth, the growth of our hair, and also oxygen supply. So healthy fats, for example, also support elasticity and shine. So vitamins and minerals support the overall hair care growth, even the hair growth cycle, right? So when any of this is consistently lacking, no product can fully compensate for that. There is no way you're going to be using a lot of products and you're not consuming the right things. You will get the desired results. There is nothing on earth that can replace good diet. I also emphasize hydration a lot because not just water intake, but overall hydration, overall cellular hydration. Because the truth is, hair that constantly feels dry is often a sign that the body is not being supplied enough hydration. So that being said as well, it is important to keep everything balanced. So eating well does not necessarily mean perfection or restriction. So some people would tell me, oh, I stopped eating this because of my hair. And I'm like, not necessarily. It is just about being intentional, eating a variety of whole foods, and also supporting your body so that it can support your hair. Because if your body is not thriving, there's no way your hair would thrive as well. So yes, what we really eat matters a lot. And I think of hair care as maintenance and nutrition as the foundation, right? So when the foundation is weak, the result will always be limited, no matter how good your routine or your intention looks like on the outside.
Ibuko, I love your response because it's making me really reflective. And I love the fact that you're being very vulnerable. You were very vulnerable about your experience when it came to your hair, right? And I've said this before on the podcast. I didn't always pay attention to my diet when I wasn't knowledgeable about hair care. I just used to notice that my hair used to shed a lot in coat, but it wasn't shedding, it was breaking. The quality of hair that I was growing was not as good because I wasn't eating properly. And as soon as I actually changed my diet, my hair has become stronger. I'm close to my 40s. I'm like quarter to 40. Should I say quarter or like 1 minute to 40? I don't even know. And my hair is in the best state it has ever been because I changed my diet. Yes, hair care is important, but diet is the foundation of healthy hair. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If they tell you otherwise, it's a lie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I know a lot of people are struggling with things like breakage, dryness, thinning. And I believe this question will really help their hair game. Are there certain nutrients, and I believe you already highlighted them, but I think it's good to do a deep dive into them, or food types you think women with curls, Afro-textured hair should be paying more attention to?
Yes, there are actually such foods, and I want to frame this in a very practical and realistic way. The truth is, women with curls and Afro-textured hair like mine tend to experience dryness more easily because of the structure of our hair strands. The hair strand is tighter, the core pattern is tighter, is more tight, and it is harder for natural hairs to travel, natural oils rather, to travel down the hair shaft. So nutrition that supports moisture retention, strength, and elasticity becomes very important. First, protein is key because hair is made of primarily protein. Our hair is made of protein. So because our hair is made of keratin, which is essentially protein, we need to take in adequate protein to support strength and also reduce excessive breakage.
What kind of foods are you going to recommend as good sources of protein for our audience?
Okay, let me mention some simple, easy to access foods. Number one, eggs. I love eggs a lot, and it's not just because of the taste. It's more because of my knowledge of food science. So eggs contain all the essential amino acids. And essential amino acids are the building blocks of protein. Of course, they are also protein that your body needs but it cannot produce by itself. So you get them from foods. And thankfully, eggs contain all the essential amino acids that you need or that your body needs to be healthy. So eggs are also affordable. They are packed with protein and they contain biotin. So you're good to go. If it's only eggs that you can take, you're good as a source of protein. You can also consider beans and lentils. Although beans have significantly more carbohydrates than protein by weight, they are still a great source of plant-based protein because they are full of iron as well and zinc to support growth. Leafy greens as well, leafy vegetables like spinach, like kale, like ugu here. They are rich in iron, folate, and vitamin C, which also help your hair stay strong and healthy. I tell people a lot, we have leafy green vegetables around us everywhere you turn to, especially where I live in Nigeria, you can find one vegetable or the other. So if you incorporate vegetables in your diet, you are good to go. You can also consider fish or chicken, which are great sources of protein and healthy fats as well. Fish contain healthy fats, which supports elasticity and shine as well. So we can also consider foods like nuts and seeds, peanuts, almonds. They also provide vitamin E and healthy fats for our scalp and also moisture retention. I mean, there are a lot of foods I can mention. We have water-rich fruits. Is it watermelon I want to talk about? Is it oranges? Is it pineapple? They all help with hydration and vitamin C intake. And thankfully, we have all the balance that we need. So, for example, if you are taking an iron-rich food, for example, leafy green vegetables, you should consider also taking vitamin C alongside. Why? Because it helps in the absorption of the iron, right? So another food is something like avocado. It's not expensive. I'm not a big fan of avocado, but it's easy to add to meals and a great source of healthy fats as well. So you can always incorporate all of these foods. And, there's a lot to mention, but let me just stop here.
Oh my God, you're already making me so hungry. But at the same time, I'm so excited that you mentioned these examples and talked about the benefit, the nutrients that come from them. Listeners, I hope you guys are taking notes. I hope you are taking notes because what Blessing is preaching is the truth, and I can bear witness to it. I can. And now, for those of us who are trying to be that girl, but maybe our diet isn't always giving balance, what simple, realistic tips do you have for eating for hair health, especially for busy professionals or students?
So one thing I tend to do as a person, thankfully, I have also been a student before, right? And now I'm a busy professional. So I know how both sides of the coin can be. Yeah. But one thing I do is I focus on consistency over perfection. I know that I have mentioned this before, but it's good to reiterate. Life is busy, and sometimes you will skip a meal. Sometimes your lunch is not even exactly balanced. And that's okay. What matters is that over time, you make choices that support your well-being more often than not, rather. That consistency compounds in ways that are very visible, not just in your hair, but also in your energy, focus, and also confidence. So one thing that I would say, right, is to say, plan your meals ahead. I know that it's easy for you to grab a fast meal, but the truth is, if you plan your meals ahead, it's easy for you, whether as a student or as a busy professional, to grab something that is healthy. One of the issues we have currently in this generation is the fact that fast foods are everywhere. So over time, when you tend to lean on fast food, your body is not getting the right nutrient, the amount of nutrients it needs to even make your hair healthy in the first place. So what I would say is plan your meals ahead, be well hydrated, always have a water bottle beside in your bag. Everywhere you go, carry a bottle of water, be hydrated. If you need something else, for example, you are trying to maybe lose some weight. I know people who have restrictive diets. Cutting out an entire food group without thoughtful replacements, it can create a gap that shows in your hair. So you want to be careful, not just to remove a particular group of food, but to look at it holistically and make the right choice when it comes to that as well. So be intentional about nourishing your hair, and not just your hair, nourishing your body with the right nutrients. And I hope this tips helps.
Definitely. Speaking of which, there was a time that I was reducing my carb intake and I overdid it. And I think I mentioned this in my last episode. You have to be very careful. There's always a lot of hype on don't eat these categories of food, don't eat that. No, it's best you actually learn and find out what works for you. So for certain types of food, maybe you don't need them in so much quantity, but it does something in your body and it's supportive. So be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something a lot of people need to actually consider. You've got to consider other aspects of your life, not just one aspect when you want to make a decision. I'm glad you learned early.
I learned.
I'm glad you
I learned. And I mean, for me, I love to experiment, but at the same time, I think it's so crucial for us to educate ourselves, right? Like that's the important thing. There's always something trending. There's always something new, but you really have to evaluate whether or not it works for you and do your due diligence. Don't just jump into whatever people recommend. So, wow. Okay. So that's really wonderful. Moving on, I was thinking about some practical tips for our listeners. And I think you already talked about this in terms of everyday foods people can eat to nourish their hair. But that being said, I wanted to ask, are there additional foods that people can get, right? Things that are not complicated. So we already talked about eggs, beans, chicken or fish, avocado. I'm already getting hungry again. I need to stop. But yeah, like, are there other food sources that you can suggest for our listeners?
Yes, I would like to suggest more foods, but I want to be culturally sensitive. I know that there are different kinds of food in different parts of the world. So what I would say is make sure your food is balanced as much as you can, and look at the essence or what's on your plate. Like you mentioned earlier, Ganiyat, what's on your plate? Every single time you want to eat something, ask yourself this question: how is this nourishing my body? How is this nourishing my health? How is this nourishing my skin? How is it nourishing every part of you? And how is it also going to even nourish your soul as a person? Because it's important for you not to just have long hair, full hair, but it's also important for you to feel healthy. So if whatever you are eating is not good for you, you know within yourself. I like to tell people that the truth is we know what we are doing a lot of times. We know when what we are eating is not helping us. So if I should say eat this and eat that, it may not be relevant to you wherever you are in the world. But what I would say is whenever you want to eat something, ask yourself, how is this helping me? How is this nourishing my body? How is this nourishing my health? And not just your physical health, your other aspects as well. So it's important for you to always ask yourself this question when you want to eat something. I'm not asking you to be strict or very rigid, but I'm saying you can't be flexible. But then let it be that 99% of the time you're choosing what is really good for you. You're choosing what will nourish your body and also help your hair thrive as well. Yeah.
No, I think this is a fantastic way to think about diet and the approach to diet. We usually get consumed in the what, and I think it's important to think about the why. You also had something that was very crucial about not just nourishing your body for your hair, but also thinking about your skin, also thinking about your health, and importantly, thinking about your soul. And man, I'm happy I brought you on this on our podcast because you are really, really dropping important gems, right? That people might think is just limited to, for example, spirituality. But when it comes to food, there's actually a spiritual aspect to it. When you're consuming things and you're not feeling settled, it's a sign, right?
Yeah.
And it brings me to the fact that, for example, there's the saying that if your hair is not looking right, usually there's something wrong in your body.
Yeah.
And with research, and this is what we've seen, people that are in the trichological space typically help you diagnose diseases. When they see your hair, they tell you go see a doctor, and then they're able to tell that there's something fundamentally wrong in you. So I think that is such these are amazing gems that you're dropping, that listeners, you guys, please take notes, pay attention. Your diet is really, really key, not just for hair. I know we started talking about hair, but it goes beyond that. It addresses so many levels in terms of we as a person and just being intentional about what we're consuming and how we're caring for ourselves. So now I wanted to ask you, we've already talked about these diets. You've talked about the principles, and I love the concept, right, about looking at what's in your plate. For me, it feels like, okay, I can commit to certain things, no stress. But I wanted to understand, what are some eating habits that quietly sabotage our hair?
Let me mention a few. Number one is skipping meals. You're skipping your meals. You're going long periods without proper nutrition. As much as I'm a spiritual person, I fast. I know people also do intermittent fasting, which is great for your body. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. What I'm saying is be intentional, right? Like I mentioned earlier, your hair is a non-essential part of your body. So when nutrients are lacking in your body, it's one of the first systems that show distress. So you essentially see more shedding, more dryness, or even slow growth. And this happens silently over time. So when you do that for a long period of time, your hair suffers it. So be intentional about that. Then secondly, relying on heavily processed foods or fast foods, like I mentioned earlier. They are usually low in protein, they are low in vitamins and minerals that your hair needs. And they're even often high in refined sugars and unhealthy fats. So over time, this does not just affect your hair, it weakens it from the inside out. Then thirdly, poor nutrient pairing. I had mentioned earlier that iron is good for your growth, for your hair growth, but at the same time, if you're not pairing it with vitamin C rich foods, it's just like wasting things. You're wasting your nutrients, you're wasting your food. So if you're eating iron rich food on one hand, pair it with the vitamin C rich food so that you get enough absorption of the iron that you are taking. So simple adjustments like taking an orange after eating iron-rich food can make a big difference in your hair care. So people are actually eating right, but they are not pairing the nutrients right. So someone might be listening to this podcast saying, but I hate green leafy vegetables. I hate this one. I hate that one. You may not be pairing it right. So now that you are here, and that's why it's good for you to follow podcasts like this. So now that you are here, you know that you are supposed to pair iron-rich foods with vitamin C-rich foods as well, so that you can get the most out of these foods that you're taking in. Then the fourth thing I will mention is neglecting hydration. Your hair may look fine on the outside, but when your body is really dehydrated, your hair shaft becomes very brittle and dry. So drinking water consistently is not just something that you do for the sake of it or because you have a fancy bottle. It's the foundation to your hair health. That's the truth. That's the truth. So these four things are really crucial. And finally, I would say extreme or restrictive diets. Like I mentioned earlier, cutting off an entirely group of food without thoughtful replacements, it can create gaps that will show in your hair. I mean, it might not necessarily show now. It might show in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, just along the line. It will show eventually. And before you know it, the damage has been done. So before you cut off a meal from your diet, think about it very well. Make the right decisions by getting a lot of knowledge and doing appropriate research. There are some things that you would probably not do just if you have the right information, right? So make sure that at every point in time, you are very informed, and you're not just informed, you're also very curious. So ask questions, ask people who are in the hair care space. Oh, if I do this, what does it do for my hair? How does this affect my hair? Be very curious and very intentional about every single decision that you make about your hair, and also what you're eating or putting on your inside, right? Because the truth is our hair responds to balance, it responds to consistency, and then intentional nourishment. It's not the extremes. And it's not just about, what is trending. Or people are saying you should join one challenge. So you join the challenge because you just want to join the challenge and see results.
Join one challenge and enter one chance.
That's it. You enter the challenge and you enter one chance without even knowing. But then you use your own legs to do yourself. How do they say it, right?
Yeah.
But if you quietly nourish your hair every day, the results compound over time. Because the truth is, you might not necessarily see the results of even the right hair care now. But trust me, in the next 3 years, in the next 4 years, you will look back and be like, oh, wait, what? I've gone from here to here without even realizing, without knowing. So that's the kind of invisible work that usually pays more than, even an expensive product ever could.
Yeah. Blessing, thank you for the plug, right? I feel like it's great to have guests like you talking about these usually overlooked, matters when it comes to hair care. And I feel like what you said about the invisible work, the reality about the invisible work is that you see the visible results. And what comes to my mind vividly was back in the day when I didn't used to eat well, right? The visible result was I used to see so much hair on the floor. I used to see so much hair, and it wasn't shedded hair. It was hair that was just breaking because it wasn't strong enough. So yeah, you might be doing things invisibly, but the results will show. So be very deliberate about the choices that you're making. Omo, this discussion has been amazing, Blessing. So before we go, can you tell us the mindset that helps you prioritize wellness and diet, so that we can build a more positive view around it?
So for me, it starts with shifting from pressure to intention, right? I no longer think about hair care or wellness and diets, in fact, as a chore, or something I must do perfectly. Instead, I now see it as a form of respect for myself. I see it as a form of respect for my hair as well, another aspect of me, right? So every small choice that I make, I see it as an opportunity to support myself and not just punish myself, because the truth is I'm the one reaping the benefits. If I'm eating well, if I'm doing these things properly, it's not the other person that is getting the benefits. It's me. I can see it. That's why I have great hair, right? Yeah. And finally, I would say cultivating a mindset of curiosity and learning. I pay attention to how my body and my hair responds. One thing I would mention is there was a time I was very frustrated at my hair, and I didn't realize that sometimes what happened was a lot of times when I make my hair or when I take down my hairstyle, it was usually at the same time that I was having my menstrual period. And then it clocked one day and I made research and I realized that, iron levels are low when I am on my period. So 1 + 1 is actually equals to 2. But I never knew.
Yes.
But it wasn't until I made this research I realized, now I know what to do. My hair shouldn't really be out at that time. I can rather protect it around that period, right? Yeah. So these are some little things to say. Be curious. What happens when you do this? Pay attention to it. Learn. Pay attention to how your body reacts, how your hair responds to what you eat, how you balance work and rest, for example. When you're stressed, how does your hair react to it? So I like to experiment, but I also like to reflect and adjust. This also makes wellness feel like a personal journey rather than a set of rules. So I don't have all this, do this one, do that one. No. That's why I said earlier, I like to simplify hair care to people. Yes, I have long and full. In fact, when people ask me, when they see my hair and they shout, one of the first questions they ask me is, how did you get to this? So, and they're expecting me to, just give them like 30 lists of things to stop doing or 30 lists of things to start doing. But that's not what I do. That's not what I do, right?
Yeah.
I just tell them simple things that get you results, and that's it. And this is what keeps me engaged rather than overwhelmed as well. So for anyone listening, the key is this: approach wellness with intention, give yourself grace, and then stay curious about what truly works for you. When you do that, healthy eating and hair care stops being a task. In fact, they become a natural part of how you show up for yourself and every single day of your life.
Blessing, it's been a joy, or should I even say a blessing, to have you on today's episode of Unraveling the Knots. You dropped major wisdom that some things I didn't even know or even pay attention to, So when you mentioned being on your period and taking out your hair, that makes so much sense, right? During your period, you're losing blood, you're losing iron, right? So that's not an ideal time to actually be taking down your hair. I wouldn't have connected the dots, but I really appreciate your wisdom, your knowledge, and the fact that you're willing to share so graciously with our audience. It's truly amazing. And I'm glad that you're somebody working in this space to help inform people and empower people, not just about the hair, because at this point, the focus is like just your well-being, right? Your wellness. And then good hair is the aftermath, right? So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for educating us on things that are child related in a real practical and deeply thoughtful way. To everyone listening, hair care isn't just about what you can apply only. It's also about how you live and what you eat. Do you have any final messages for our listeners?
Yes, I actually do. But first, thank you so much, Ganiyat, for having me. This has been such a meaningful conversation that I have personally enjoyed. And to everyone listening, I want you to remember that your hair, your body, and your overall well-being deserves patience, deserves consistency and kindness. So your hair might not necessarily be where you want it to be at this time, but if you are patient enough and you're consistent, you will get your desired results. You don't have to get everything right at once. Small intentional choices made daily, they truly add up. And keep learning and keep listening to your body and give yourself the grace to grow. It has been a pleasure sharing today and this space with you, Ganiyat. Thank you so much.
I'm very grateful to have you on the show. Honestly, I'm so excited. And thanks to Ibukun. When you're thinking about your next Lent check, maybe you should start in your kitchen. Thanks everyone again. And to those listening, if you love today's episode, please share it with your tribe. Don't forget to share your own hair story with us at utkinhair@gmail.com. Or even send us a DM on Instagram at UTK Podcast. One more thing, we will definitely appreciate your rating of our podcast. I'm still your host, Ganiyat, and I will catch you on the next episode.